안녕하세요 여러분, 백하입니다. 오랜만에 WEARS 리딩클럽으로 돌아오게 되었습니다. 올, 가을, 겨울, 봄 저희는 각자 선택한 책을 읽어나갈 예정인데요. 제가 선택한 책은 The Devil Wears Prada로 아주 유명한 로렌 와인스버거가 그 후속작, 시퀄로 지은 Revenge Wears Prada, The Devil Returns입니다. 이 책은 사실 제가 아주 오래전에 2013년에 사두고 그 뒤로 읽지 못한 책이에요. 그리고 제가 워낙 Devil Wears Prada의 아주 빅팬이기도 하기 때문에 이번 기회에 여러분과 함께 읽자는 의미로 이 책 선택하게 되었습니다. 이 책 스토리를 어느 정도 짧게 알려드리기 위해서는 아무래도 책 뒷면에 나와 있는 줄거리 부분 잠깐 말씀드리면 좋으실 것 같아서 맨 뒷페이지 한번 읽어보겠습니다. The highly anticipated sequel to the sensational #1 bestseller The Devil Wears Prada. Almost a decade has passed since Andy Sachs quit the job A Million Girls Would Die For, working for Miranda Priestley at Runway magazine. A dream that turned out to be a nightmare. Andy and Emily, her former nemesis and co-assistant, have since joined forces to start The Plunge, a high-end bridal magazine for the young and stylish. Now, they get to call all the shots. Even better, Andy has met the love of her life, Max Harrison, scion of a storied media family, is confident, successful, and drop-dead gorgeous. Their wedding will be splashed across all the society pages. Andy Sachs is on top of the world, but karma's a bitch. The morning of her wedding, Andy can't shake the past, and when she discovers a secret letter with crushing implications, her wedding day jitters turn to cold dread. Andy realized that nothing is as it seems. She never suspected that her efforts to build a bright new life would lead her back to the darkest she barely escaped, and directly into the path of the devil herself. 이 부분에서 보실 수 있듯이 이 책은 앤디와 에밀리가 이전에 일하던 런웨이 매거진을 떠나서 새로운 브라이덜 매거진, 신부를 위한 잡지죠. 미국에는 이런 잡지가 아주 많더라고요. 플런치라는 새로운 잡지를 만들고 나서 그리고 앤디가 그 지금 현재 피앙세인 맥스를 만나고 아주 행복하게 살고 있었는데 그 웨딩데이부터 뭔가 시작되는 일들을 담고 있다는 것을 알 수 있습니다. 이 작가인 로렌 와인스버거에 대해서 말씀드리면 Lauren Weisberger is a New York Times bestseller author of The Devil Wears Prada, which was published in 40 languages and made into a major motion picture starring Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway. Weisberger's three other novels, Everyone Worth Knowing, Chasing Harris Winston, and The Last Day at Chateau Marmont, was all New York Times bestsellers. A graduate of Cornell University, she lives in New York City with her husband and 2 children. 저도 사실 이 책을 읽기 전까지는 이 작가의 백그라운드라고 해야 되나요? 에 대해서 잘 알지 못했는데요. 코넬 대학을 졸업을 하고 뉴욕에서 살고 있는 그리고 Devil Wears Prada라는 아주 메가 히트작을 낸 이후에도 3편의 책을 더 펼쳤다는 것을 알 수 있습니다. 그럼 저 첫 페이지를 여러분과 함께 읽어볼게요. Chapter 1. As long as she lived. The rain fell in sideways sheets, cold and relentless, the winds whipping it in every direction, making an umbrella sleeker and rain boots nearly useless. Not that Andy had any of those things. Her $200 Burberry umbrella has refused to open and finally snapped when she tried to force it. The cropped rabbit jacket with the oversized collar and no hood cinched fabulous around her waist, but did nothing to stop the bone-chilling cold. And the brand-new stacked suede Prada pumps cheered her with their poppy fuchsia color, but left the better part of her foot exposed. Even her skinny leggings left her legs feeling naked, the wind making the leather feel as protective as a pair of silk stockings. Already, the 15 inches that had blanketed York was beginning to melt into a slushy gray mass, and Andy wished for the 1000th time that she lived anywhere but here. As if to punctuate her thought, a taxi barreled through a yellow light and blared its horn at Andy, who had committed the grievous crime of trying to cross the street. She restrained herself from offering him the finger. Everyone was armed these days, and instead gritted her teeth and hurled mental curses his way. Considering the size of her heels, she made decent progress for the next 2 or 3 blocks. 52nd, 53rd, 54th. It wasn't too far now, and at least she'd had a moment or two to warm up before beginning the race back to the office. She was consoling herself with the promise of hot coffee and maybe, just maybe, a chocolate chip cookie, when suddenly, somewhere, she heard that ring. Where was it coming from? Andy glanced around, but her fellow pedestrians didn't seem to notice the sound, which was growing louder every second. Bring, bring, that ringtone. She'd recognize it anywhere for as long as she lived, although Andy was surprised they were still making phones with it. She simply hadn't heard it in so long, and yet it all came rushing back. She knew before she pulled her phone from her bag what she would find, but she was still shocked to see those 2 words on her caller ID screen, Miranda Priestley. She would not answer, could not. Andy took a deep breath, hit ignore, and tossed the phone back into her bag. It started ringing again almost immediately. Andy could feel her heart begin to beat faster, and it got more and more difficult to fill her lungs. Inhale, exhale. She instructed herself, tucking her chin to protect her face from what was now pounding sleet, and just keep walking. She was less than 2 blocks from the restaurant. She could see it lit up ahead like a warm, shimmering promise, when a particularly nasty gust propelled her forward, causing her to lose her balance and step directly into one of the worst parts of a Manhattan winter. The black, slushy puddle of dirt and water and salt and trash and God knows what else so filthy and freezing and shockingly deep that one could do nothing but surrender to it. Which is exactly what Andy did, right there in the pool of the hell that had accumulated between the street and the curb. She stood, flamingo-like, perched gracefully on one submerged foot, holding the other one rather impressively above the watery mass for a good 30 or 40 seconds, weighing her options. Around her, people gave her and the slushy little lake wide berth. Only those with knee-high rubber boots daring to tramp directly through the middle. But no one offered her a hand, and realizing that the puddle had a large enough perimeter that she couldn't jump to escape in any one direction, she steeled herself for another shock of cold and placed her left foot beside her right. The icy water rushed up her legs and came to a stop on her lower calf, subsuming both fuchsia shoes and a good 5 inches of leather pant. And it was all Andy could do not to cry. Her shoes and leggings were ruined. Her feet felt like she might lose them to frostbite. She had no option for extricating herself from the mess except continuing to slog through it. And all Andy could think was, That's exactly what you get for screening Miranda Priestley. 네, 저희가 첫 부분 읽어보았는데요. 여러분 어떠셨나요? 이번 편에서 아마도 앤디가 꿈을 꾸고 있는 게 아닐까라고 저는 생각하는데요. 앤디의 이 무의식을 통해서 얼마나 앤디가 기존의 미란다 프리슬리와 일하면서 압박을 느끼고 어떻게 보면 공포심을 느끼고 있는지에 대해서 잘 알려주는 것 같아요. 다음 시간에는 이 다음 부분 함께 읽어보겠습니다. Thank you all for listening to WEARS Reading Club. I'll see you next time.